Wake up, wake up. It is May the 9th. Today is 49ers rookie minicamp. I will be on the field when the rookies hit the field at 1 o'clock today. And I'm eager to see what it looks like. Damon and I are going to talk about our day in Santa Clara yesterday. We talked to the offensive coordinator, the defensive coordinator, the special teams coordinator, some of the rookies, a lot of the media. Let's go. Little recap from yesterday.
Wake up indeed. Good morning. Like and subscribe across both channels, not only on the Krug Show, but Damon Bruce Plus as well. It's great to have you here. And Larry, there is no doubt we're still a long way away from it feeling like football season's about to begin, but the covering of football season definitely began yesterday. It was a little bit of a homecoming. Vincent Bonsignor is back. He's off the Raider beat. He's now in. He got to come and say hello to everybody. I saw
talking about Vic Tafer. Vic
Tafer. Sorry, Vic. Vic Vincent. I knew someone was covering the Raiders and now back. Yeah, Vic is back. Saw Lombardi, Guy Haberman yesterday. You saw everybody down there. So it was good to be back in the room. And I'll tell you, the very first impression I got, Larry, is how happy Robert Saleh is to be back in a functioning football situation. We all know that the New York Jets have long been defined by their inability to get anything right. And even if they do get something right, they'll take it apart quickly. That's just kind of who they are. And Saleh looked relieved and so appreciative to be back. You know, the reason why dogs are better pets than cats is because there's a sense of appreciation in a dog. And Robert Saleh seemed to be so relieved and relaxed to be back, and to, not to crap on Nick Sorensen in any way, but there is a difference in the way the two men carry themselves. And it's just the difference in experience, in confidence, and knowing that you've been through a few battles, and even if you've lost them, you're the right guy for the war. And Saleh talked about how when he was originally the defensive coordinator, the team could have given up on him, but they didn't. They stuck with him. And he's very appreciative. He's thrilled to be back. And I think every single 49er fan has to be back. It's like there's going to be a 12th defender on the field for the 49ers. I really believe that with Robert Saleh's experience back in the room.
Well, we're off and running here on a Friday for sure. And, of course, on the Krug Show side, we're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out, and they do run out. So get there early, get some brisket chili. Tell them the Krug sent you. We're also brought to you by Sharp Corners Sports Cards and Collectibles. They're at 205 Cypress Avenue in Pacific Grove, California on the Monterey Peninsula. Call Anthony Catania. He's at 831-521-5264. And we're brought to you by Mancini's Sleep World. And if you shop Mancini's in any of their locations or online at sleepworld.com, use that code KRUG10, KRUEG10, and you'll get 10% off your total mattress purchase. Thanks to Mancini's for sponsoring the Krug Show. And there are links in the description for all of the sponsors to the Krug Show.
Larry, can I just drop this on you? Because
Sure.
Right now, everyone knows the Plus is brought to you by Aiyuk Sandwiches. Right now, he's got a Mr. Irrelevant sandwich. This is, obviously a tribute to final picks in the draft, which Brock clearly qualified for. This was created apparently along with Iron Chef Kat Cora. And listen to this. I don't know if you needed to bring in an Iron Chef for this one, but this sounds delicious. The Mr. Irrelevant sandwich is ham, bacon, potato chips, Godfather sauce, honey mustard sauce, and American cheese. I would eat the hell out of that. I don't know about you.
I don't know, man. That's the kind of, I don't like to mix my sweets and my savories. That sounds like a mix of sweets and savories.
I do like the mixture of sweet and savory.
I like fried chicken. I like waffles. I don't like chicken and waffles. You know what I mean? It's like I like both.
Have you tried hot honey? Have you tried hot honey on the fried chicken or like pizza crust?
I actually had somebody send me some wings with some hot honey sauce, and even that, not quite doing it for me. I like the savory over the sweet. I don't mind a little sweet, but it's got to be all sweet. Like I don't like if I do ribs, I'll do a little brown sugar in the
Yes.
you know, in the rub. I
Of
do
course.
the rub includes pepper, salt, paprika, uh, brown sugar, and some granulated garlic.
Has your relationship with Pig in a Pickle made your rub better, Larry?
Well, I'll say this: my relationship with Pig in a Pickle has made me less eager to try to even make brisket because I just can't do it.
It's
I can't
hard.
do it. I mean, I've done it, and I can do it in the slow cooker. I don't have a smoker, and so yeah, I don't even try the brisket anymore. But well, as far as Robert Saleh, it was weird. It's like I kind of thought of Robert Saleh as you know a coveted, defensive coordinator and a young, quality NFL head coach that did some good things with the Jets and then just got fired because they're the Jets and it just didn't work out. And the quarterback situation didn't work out with him and Rodgers and him and Zach Wilson. It just didn't happen. And if it doesn't happen at quarterback in the NFL, it doesn't happen for the head coach generally, unless your name's Kyle Shanahan and you have Brock Purdy laying there in the in the weeds ready to save your bacon. But other than that, it's pretty much if you pick the wrong quarterback, you're fucking fired, man. This is the NFL. And when you pick Zach Wilson and Aaron Rodgers, you're out. Now, I kind of thought that he would be in this kind of I'm kind of coveted mode because it sounded like the Niners gave him a lot of maybe say so in some of their defensive selections as they're trying to rebuild this thing. But from listening to him yesterday, I think you hit it perfect. I mean, it's like he looks back. I mean, and maybe this is, I mean, you have 2 kids. I have 4 kids. He has I think he's got more kids than both of us combined. He might have 7 or 8 kids. Maybe when you have that many kids, you're always kind of thinking about, supporting them and, because it's a huge challenge. He was like, man, when I was here the first time and it didn't start well, they could have fired me and they didn't. And so I'm indebted to them for life. And I thought that was really interesting because that's like a guy, that's like a coach taking us behind the scenes in the coaching world and like, hey, you know what? Yeah, I got Nick Bosa and we all went to the Super Bowl and it all worked out great, right? I went to the Jets, became a head coach. Niners went to another Super Bowl with a different coordinator and we all won theoretically, except I could have lost it all and been thrown out on my keister only to have to take far lesser jobs. And instead the Niners stayed with me, and his loyalty to Jed, his loyalty to the organization was abundantly clear yesterday, Damon. I thought it was one of the most striking parts of yesterday, listening to Salah talk about how appreciative he was that he didn't get canned in that year before they added Nick Bosa.
You know who I've always been really, really appreciative of? 2 names that probably don't get an awful lot of respect in the world of broadcasting, and you know both very, very well, Larry. Ron Barr and Lee Hammer. Ron Barr and Lee Hammer.
Wow.
Ron Barr and Lee Hammer get laughed at in a lot of circles, but I'm not the one doing the laughing because both of those guys gave me my first opportunities, real opportunities as a broadcaster. And for that, I am forever in debt to those guys giving me that opportunity. I'll never forget where it all started. And Robert Saleh has not forgotten where it started. He had a difficult start. Things got better to the point where he is now sought after as a head coach himself. He leaves. Now, here's the thing. One of the crimes of the internet era, I guess, is that you can pass on a narrative, and a false narrative can grow loud, and it gets trapped inside of its own silo, and it's an echo chamber. And there is like this narrative that the 49ers are like negligent in some ways or irresponsible or, just not up to the task in so many ways. And look, if you feel that way, you feel that way. Okay, sure, whatever. Robert Saleh spends 2-3 years with the New York Jets and realizes, I think, the value of the 49ers more like yesterday. That Warriors loss was Steph Curry's MVP argument. It's easier to argue for how good it is when you don't have it. And that where I think that's what Robert Saleh kind of feels like. He got this massive opportunity, but then realized that even though He was going to make all this money, get all the high-profile New York media attention. It just wasn't the right situation to win in. And I think he realizes that he's back now in a winning situation, and that's what these coaches want to do. Do you even hear him say how much he was looking forward to not facing the media, to just burying himself in X's and O's again? And he doesn't want to do the face-forward front, I'm the guy. I will say this.
He's good at it, though.
His bald head looked shinier and more polished than ever. Robert Saleh is a handsome man. That's a good-looking guy. He's like a young Telly Savalas or something, you know? I mean, and he just looked as comfortable and happy to be back in a situation as any coach returning saying, hey, how are you guys again? So I'm really excited about his second go-around with the Niners, and I hope it lasts more than one season because I could see the 49ers defense really overachieving in its expectations and him being right back out on the market. Now, we'll worry about that when that time comes. We're not going to start worrying about who the next defensive coordinator of the 49ers will be right now. But dude, solid, man. That's a
solid. He did say, I like coaching a lot more than I like the admin stuff that, is the head coaching duties. He was asked too, hey, any thought of sitting out and waiting for a head coaching gig? He's like, nah. I think these guys realize you might have to sit out for 3 or 4 years. I mean, and you may be sitting forever and out of sight, out of mind. So he's like, nah, I love coaching too much. There was no way I was going to sit on the sidelines. He said that his defensive scheme has definitely evolved and that there's bits and pieces of what the Niners did originally. And then that was the other thing. He jumped in. Go ahead.
Not to cut you off, but I just want to get this out here. I thought one of the single most interesting thing that he actually said about what the job is anticipating the direction that offenses are going in. And you have to be a couple of years down the road in anticipating what new offenses are going to throw at you. And that was kind of the first time I've ever heard a coach talk about it like that.
Well, and also he kind of went through the kind of the lineage, because there was a lot of people going, oh, well, is it going to be back like it was originally? And everybody's looking for kind of a narrative to kind of write about. And he's like, no. Like, he's like, when we first got here in 2017, it was the full Seattle defense. And then we brought Chris in and we went to the wide 9 front. And then, we went away from, we brought Wilkes in, and it's like, hey, we changed up our blitz package. And now it's everything's different from when we started.
The size and physicality of his corners were also talked about. It used to be he wants someone between 6'1", 6'3", and now they're going in another direction in terms of physical requirements to just be on the team.
So Salah was definitely interesting, and he said a bunch of things I thought that were interesting. And I asked him, I said, hey, what do you want to see from the rookies starting today? And they're on the field today and tomorrow. And he's like, hey, man, these guys have been through a lot. I just want to see these guys compete. We got a lot to teach them. They got a lot to learn. We've got a ton of work to do. More than anything in this camp, I just want to see their competitive fire and what it looks like, on the field. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And then the guy who I thought was, it's funny. Sometimes when you're listening to an interview or you're part of an interview, you think, oh, man, there's lots of meat and potatoes there. And then when you go to re-listen to it, you're like, God, there's nothing there. He really didn't say a damn thing. Other times you'll listen to a media conversation and you'll be like, yeah, there was nothing really. There was no real new earth plowed there. Nothing new. And then you go listen to it again and you're like, whoa, this guy said a lot. And I thought Clay Kubiak was that guy yesterday, Damon. Like when I listened to it live, I thought, okay, son of Gary, brother of Clint, brother of Klein. He's got 3 brothers in the NFL, and the guy knows how it's done, and he's pretty aw shucks and matter of fact and kind of understated, and just doesn't give you, he's not a lot of emotion, and he doesn't, you're not sitting there going, wow, Kubiak just told us X, Y, and Z. But then I went back and I reviewed what he said. He really did say quite a bit. One, he said that his role has not changed a whole lot, that Shanahan gave him a lot of the OC responsibilities a year ago. But then he got into some big time comments. He talked about CMC, and CMC is out there practicing. And he said, man, he's an elite player. We got to get him the ball. Whether we hand it to him, throw it to him, we got to get him the ball.
How hard it is to get him off the field.
It's hard to get him off the field.
The reason why they're running so much tread off of his tires is because they're addicted to it. It works. And also, McCaffrey's a hard guy to pull out of a huddle, apparently. He won't come off the field.
He doesn't want to come off. And then I thought the most important 2 words from Kubiak was he was talking about CMC. He said he looks awesome. So that's great news. I mean, let's be honest about this. We could talk. You know me, man. I will nerd out with undrafted free agents all day. I will sit there and I'll sit there and Connor Colby you to fucking death. But
that's got to be your next video. I will Connor Colby you to fucking death.
I will Connor Colby you to fucking death. But at the core, I'm no different than everybody else. I mean, I want to see this team win, and if they're going to win, they got to have CMC. And to hear Kubiak say that CMC looks awesome was great. Then he came back with this nugget. He said Brock Purdy has had a phenomenal offseason. He said he wants to be coached hard. He wants us to get in his grill and tell him what he's not good at. He wants to improve. He is all in on this offseason, and he has looked great so far this offseason. That was great to hear. So, maybe your 2 most important players on offense are Purdy and CMC, and they both are looking awesome. So that's was
really
cool.
important. That is very important.
Then he gave us 3 other nuggets. He said Aiyuk is, still going forward with his rehab and looking good, that kind of thing. He's participating in his rehab, trying to get back. No timetable on that. But then somebody asked him about Mac Jones, and he's like, man, we really liked Mac Jones in college. He's a really good thrower. He's really, really smart. It's exciting. He's capable of being an NFL starter. I thought that was good, but it was your guy, Rourke, that I asked him about that really I thought made me smile. Because I said, Clay, what'd you like about Curtis Rourke? You guys obviously liked him. You took him in the 7th round. Talk to us about what you like. This guy lit up. He's like big, strong thrower, really good arm, tough kid who played hurt all year, elevated his program at Ohio, elevated his program at Indiana.
Okay.
Leader, winner. I mean, this is what he's saying. He's like, we think we got a really good young player. I mean, that's what you want to hear. Right. That's what all of us want to hear. If you draft a quarterback when you don't necessarily need a quarterback in the 7th round, and I asked the offensive coordinator about him, that's what I want to hear. We loved him. Big arm, tough, smart, elevated his program. He's a leader. He's a winner. He's got some Brock Purdy in him. He's a good young He said all of that. Yeah. And so I'm really excited about the future of what that pick's going to mean to the 49ers, Damon, because whether he starts for the Niners or backs up, or if he's just emerges and they trade him to Jets in 9 months, I guarantee you this, whatever the Niners get out of Curtis Rourke or from Curtis Rourke in the form of a trade will be far greater than what they invested in him.
I would agree with that. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that he will leave the team better for having been here, whether he's playing for them or is an asset that allows them to make a move.
It was a great pick. It was for that reason, great pick, no matter what.
The things that I really took away from Kubiak, everything that you just said, there's no mystery to me why he and Shanahan work well together, Larry. Very similar vibes, don't you think? They're similar guys. They talk the same. They almost look the same. They present the same way. They're guarded with what they say. They do not throw compliments around, which is why when he's complimenting guys, it does mean something. Mild-mannered yet intense in their delivery. Both obviously living under the umbrella of, are you a Nepo baby? I think Kyle has proven he's not a Nepo baby, but, Kubiak was even asked, you come in here with a loaded last name and a reputation of a kid who grew up around the NFL. Do you have to live up to that? And he said, look, every single person in this building needs to live up to it every day. It doesn't matter what your last name is. You got to come and produce daily and prove that you belong here. I thought that was the right approach for any guy who's, in that situation. And then when he was asked about a lack of a true number one wide receiver, he said, well, don't tell that to Ricky Pearsall because Ricky thinks he's a number one. And oh, by the way, Juwan Jennings is pretty damn convinced he is too. And that's what we love about these guys. They want it. They want more. They want more responsibility. No one's looking for less responsibility. And if you're a coach, that's music to your ears. Yeah, coach, give it to me. Whatever you need. That's what they're looking for. And hopefully that's what they got. And if we could now get to Larry, I love a football guy.
Well, before we get to Boyer, because I know he's the football guy.
That's a football guy.
I thought there was one other thing that you kind of jogged my thought when you talked about Shanahan and comparing him to Kubiak. There was a point where somebody asked about Jacob Cowing. Are we going to see Jacob Cowing more this year? And Kubiak did a very Shanahan type thing. And I thought it was brilliant. It's like they drafted Cowing. They want to use him. They haven't used him because he hasn't been good enough.
Right.
Because he can't keep his feet. He falls down when on these returns. He's had fumbles. He's had muffs. He hasn't been reliable. They haven't used him a whole lot. And they were like, well, are you going to use Cowing more? And it's like he immediately turned it on the player and was like, hey, if he plays well enough to get more time, then yeah, we're going to play him more, but it's on him. And Shanahan I like that about Shanahan too. When a lot of times when he's asked about certain players, he's like, instead of putting it on me to play the player. And I really do believe this in pro sports, the players play themselves because they determine how much they're going to play by how they play. If Jacob Cowing, if every glimpse they've given him in his rookie year, if every time he touched it, he took it to the house, he would be their biggest star right now. Guaranteed. If every single time he touched the ball, he took it to the house, he would be a bigger star than CMC. He'd be a bigger star than Ricky or anybody else. But it hasn't happened that way, right? So you're judging him based on what he's done. And I thought Kubiak said it best. He's like, hey, man, we want him out there. We want to get him out there. But he has to show that he's worthy of those reps. He has to show that he's worthy of that time. And I like that because to me, that's, that players play, coaches coach. But the coaches don't play their favorites. They play the best players. And if they don't play the best players, they're not going to be coaching for very long.
Yeah, there's no agenda is to trying to force, a square peg into a round hole with some players and the guys who get this, the guys who are producing will play. Yes. It's just that simple. It's just that simple. And that's the way it has to be. Sports is a meritocracy. Your merit gets you on the field, and it will keep you on the field. And it doesn't matter who your daddy is. And it doesn't matter what your salary is. And it doesn't matter what round you were drafted in. Players play. So that was good. One before we go on to a football guy, just one last thing about Salah. He also said something that I'm sure is going to rub some fans the wrong way because there's a group of fans who firmly plant themselves in. I don't want excuses, just win. The reality of what's happening in my football team is irrelevant. Just win. He talked about empathy. Robert Saleh talked about, the situation that he's stepping into isn't nearly the situation that he joined Kyle with the first time around, where they were going through a full roster purge over 2 seasons and he'd had no talent. Saleh talked about last year's team was so banged up and so damaged and such a mess from a health standpoint and the rest standpoint in between games and the schedule. He's like, I understand why it went so wrong last year. And, I feel bad that they were in that situation and we got to come here now and make it better. But he's right. An awful lot of what happened to the 49ers is just some bad luck. Bad luck.
It's not even necessarily luck, right? It's all, if you looked at it, and I don't care if you're going to listen to this and be like, Krug, sour grapes. I don't give a shit. I'm just going to lay this out there the way it needs to be laid out there. The Niners, there's adversity. If you go to the Super Bowl, there's adversity there, right? You're playing an extra month. When you lose the Super Bowl, there's adversity there. I think only 3 teams that have ever lost the Super Bowl have ever made it back to the year after. Then you get the shortened off season. Then they get the tougher schedule. And they played 4 teams coming off a bye. They also had the least rest differential in that pro in the pro con plus minus rest days Warren Sharp thing. The Niners were dead last. And if you had added up, compared their schedule to the Ravens schedule, they were minus 41 days of rest. That is criminal, dude. In a season that lasts 4 months, 41 days of extra rest over 4 months. I don't care if we're playing checkers. If you give somebody 41 days of extra rest over a 4-month period, they will be better than the person who got 41 less days of rest. Rest does matter. And in a sport like football, oh my God, it matters a ton. So that was a huge factor. And then to me, when I looked at the Niners last year, the game that they had to have, like where it all just went freaking downhill, Seattle at home. They had to win that game. And that was their biggest rest disadvantage of the entire season right there. And they had to have it. And then what happened in that game, Damon, if you remember, the Niners were totally spent in the fourth quarter. They couldn't stop Geno. Remember, Geno started running he ran by Devondre Campbell. He ran for the game-winning touchdown. They had no pressure on him at all. None at all. So, yeah, it's about players. And the number one reason the Niners backslid is all the screw-ups that they've had in the draft, in the 3 previous drafts coming into last year's draft. That's the number one reason. That's number one reason.
The bill hit the table last season.
You can't miss endlessly. You can't miss. They missed 20 times in the first 3 rounds. They missed 10 times alone in round 3. In the first 3 rounds. You cannot miss 10 times in the first 3 rounds. You cannot miss 20 times in the draft over, a number of drafts and have that not burn you. That's why they backslid last year. But if you add in the Super Bowl, the hangover, the injuries, the tragedies, the lack of rest, the poor scheduling, it all came home to roost. There was too much adversity last year and they succumbed to it. Yeah. This year, they have the NFL's easiest schedule.
How about that?
Like the Niners in Vegas, the over-under on the 49ers at this minute, I looked it up last night after the stream, 10.5 wins is what Vegas has the Niners at. So the Niners the league is recognizing, the gamblers are recognizing that the schedule is cake. And now it's a matter of, you didn't have the Super Bowl. You didn't have the shortened off season. Now you have additional rest, an easier schedule, a more replenished roster. And let's see. There's so many factors now that it's really hard to even say what the 49ers are going to be this year. It's hard to predict.
And the predictions will become a bit easier when we get schedules getting rolled out day after day. A little bit of it's going to leak, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But rest deficit, bye weeks, games on Monday, Thursday, and Sunday night, or lack thereof, is all going to go into so you got the easiest schedule in the NFL based on opponents' wins last year, playoff teams faced this year. But if there's a month of rest disadvantage built in, it's not nearly as easy as you think it would be. So we'll see. Hopefully the Niners get not only the benefit of that last place schedule, but the benefit of some kinder scheduling from the NFL itself. And then are they going to go play internationally, which is always taxing on a body clock? Yes or no? We're going to know a lot more about what the season sets up to lok like once we get this schedule. That's obvious. Can we talk about Brant Boyer?
Yes.
Are you ready?
Yes.
All right. Before we talk about Brant Boyer, can I just share this real fast? Here we go. Brant Boyer. Boom. Here he is.
Looking at last year's tape, what's the number one thing that needs to be corrected on special teams?
Overall mindset, guys. At the end of the day, this is a violent game played by men. And it's a special teams, a one-on-one matchup 90% of the time. And it's either you or him. And what it comes down to, and that's my whole mindset that I'm trying to get these guys to understand is it's either you or me, and it's going to be you, period. And that's the whole mindset that I want these guys to understand, that we're here for them. We're here to make them better. And that's what it comes down to. And if I can make them better, we're all, in good shape.
Boom. Football guy, Larry. You want a football guy? That's the way a football guy talks right there. And he looks like a football guy. He's got the vest over the T-shirt, the shorts, no socks, cleats, hat, ready to go. I don't even think he has clothes that don't say 49ers on them. I bet he wears nothing but NFL apparel. And he's right. And that's what it's going to take. Beat the man in front of you to make the tackle that you've got to make. That's just it. Stay in your running lane, make a freaking play. It is that simple sometimes. And I love that. And then we can get into what he talked about in Jake Moody and everything. But that's the first time I have heard Brant Boyer speak in any large capacity. And I love him as a football coach. And he, I think, is going to inject what they need into a special teams that it felt like an afterthought at all times. And I don't think it's going to be an afterthought anymore. He was even asked, what is it like to walk into a situation where the head coach has said on record, I just don't want to lose games on special teams. And he's like, yeah, I don't know about any of that. I got a job to do. Correct answer.
Yeah. I mean, he's the special teams coach. It's like, it's on him now. Here's the question I asked him at the start of it, because he is loving this return man, Bergen. So we'll let you share the screen and hear what he said about this kid, this return man.
Coach, it's been reported that you really like Junior Bergen quite a bit. Tell us what you like about Bergen.
You're betting on the kid. Obviously, my son plays at Montana. He was as productive as returner as it gets out there. If you want to say he has the it factor, I think he does. He's one of the hardest workers on the team. He's a great kid. He's going to come in here and do everything he can to make this football team. Teams tried to kick away from him all the time, and any opportunity that they gave him, he made the most of it. And that's what you're looking for. And we're wanting to create competition at every level, at every position on this team. And that's in special teams included. And that's what you've seen with us picking up a kid like that. And he's a hell of a kid. And I think he's going to come in here and he's going to work his tail off, and hopefully it works out. Whoever makes the team, who doesn't, that, we're going to make a difference in the return game.
So he really likes Bergen. And then he was asked about Bergen again at the end of the thing. And he lit up like a Christmas tree. Really likes this kid, the 7th round draft pick, who's not particularly fast, but he was very, very productive. And I didn't realize his son was at Montana. So he obviously has a connection to this kid. I'll just say this. I'll say boomer bust. This is a boomer bust kind of a pick. You draft a return man who doesn't necessarily even run all that fast from a small program like Montana, that, you've got an inside connection there, and the kid personally. And you're like, he's a great kid, this and that. You either are beating the rest of us. When I say the rest of us, I mean NFL people. You're beating everybody on this player, or you got snookered by your proximity to a player that's on your son's team, and you got swayed and invested a draft pick that you shouldn't have. We're going to find out. And it's either going to work or it's not going to work. It is interesting, though. When he was asked about the position of return man, he's like, well, we got other guys here too. And he named Cowing and Allen, but he didn't name Jordan Watkins, who's a wide receiver they just drafted in the 4th round with 4.3 speed. And I know there are people out there going, what? You're not even going to throw Jordan Watkins out there? I don't think Jordan Watkins is necessarily their return guy. I think Jordan Watkins is going to be their reason, the guy that they needed because they don't have Aiyuk. I think Jordan Watkins is going to play this year and play well for them, but I don't think he's a return guy necessarily. I think he's a receiver that has 4.37 speed and will help as a receiver. But I'm not saying that he couldn't be a return guy, but it doesn't sound like he's on the list, at least, for as far as Boyer's concerned for potential return guys.
Right. Well, again, they hit the field for the first time today. No one even knows anything, right? Yet, not yet. But you know what? Invader 49er brings up a good point here, saying Bergen's vision and methodology in setting up blocks has me intrigued, and it absolutely has Brant Boyer intrigued as well.
Yeah.
You talk about what's the single most interesting thing that he said? Well, everybody loves that, go down and hit somebody line. That's just football speak 101 right there.
Right.
But he basically said the most important blocker in the return game is the returner himself. Setting up blocks, knowing how to use angles, creating in the blockers in front of you, and seeing like three-dimensional chess play out before you're actually doing it. And if you go back and think about the best kick returners and punt returners, like in NFL history, we're talking Rick Upchurch and Joshua Cribbs and, obviously Devin Hester and, Desmond Howard, whoever you want to pick is your greatest returner ever. Setting up blockers to have success around is what they were all great at. And maybe that's the thing that they see in this kid. He knows how to play return chess around the blocks that are in front of him. So, that can make up for a lack of on-the-clock speed and just 40 time.
No question. We'll see. We'll see. This kid better be freaking good because there were some really good undrafted players sitting right there. And Niners could have had their pick at him, and they God knows the Niners need some offensive line help. So going for a return guy was risky. So we'll see if it works out. By the way, you mentioned Invader 49er. He says, Invader 49er in the chat, I'm just here to settle up the Willie Lampkin bet. So we made a wager. I said that Willie Lampkin would be drafted. Invader said that he would not be. He was not drafted. He did sign with the Rams as an undrafted free agent and watch him make the roster.
Right.
But we agreed that we would have a wager. So now we just have to agree on what the wager is.
Wait a minute. You're going to have a past.
Well, we wagered, but we never talked. We never spoke. We never agreed. And at least I don't remember us. If now, my memory is not great.
I believe they call this a gentleman's bet.
If by chance there was some wager that I'm just not aware of or not remembering, then of course I will live up to that wager. But I don't believe there was a wager. I know we agreed to wager, but we never agreed what we were wagering.
Invader 49er again says it was my Eddie mask for Larry's helmet.
Yeah. I don't have it. I have a Sacramento Gold Miners helmet without a face mask. I doubt you want that. And they don't give me Niner helmets. So maybe it'll have to be a mini helmet.
You can go to Green Gridiron right now, Larry, a proud participating sponsor on Damon Bruce Plus, and the link to Green Gridiron is right in the description of this live stream. And you can order your actual helmet from there. You can get a replica helmet. This is not a real helmet. You couldn't wear this on a football field. They won't even let you put it on your head. There's a platform in there. This is just a replica on the desk helmet. Or you can get a real actual like Riddell Speed. You can go out and start returning punts today helmet from there too. Or mini helmets and all that stuff. So you got helmet options, Larry.
I got helmet options.
You should not make bets without knowing what you're actually betting. I know that I owe you a steak. I will settle this up. I don't know when it will happen. We're together.
That's right. That's right.
Rarely, but it's on my mind. I haven't forgotten it. I know I owe you a steak.
Maybe we'll have to do a little holiday, maybe either a little summertime or a little holiday dinner, but we'll definitely work that out.
Steak
and Invader, definitely contact me in the chat or somehow give me your information in the chat. I'll contact you out of the chat and we can get on the horn and figure this out. But I'll say this. Anybody who knows me, I run my mouth, I talk a lot of S, and if I lose, I always pay.
He's no shirker.
I always pay. There's never been a bet that I don't pay. That also means that maybe there's never been a bet that I don't win, that I've won. I've lost. No, I should say I lose a lot of these wagers. So I've wind up paying up. All right. Couple other Niner notes of interest. One, the Carolina Panthers yesterday cut Jadeveon Clowney. He's a 3-time Pro Bowler. Do you want Jadeveon Clowney? Now, here's the positives are is he's a 3-time Pro Bowler. The positives are he's a good rusher who can kind of rush from any spot. That's kind of why he's always gotten a job, is because he is used all over the defensive formation. And so everybody looks at him and says, you know what? We can find a home from him in our scheme. He fits our scheme. He fits everybody's scheme. But he's also been on 6 teams in the last 7 years.
Right.
And that, to me, has a Devondre Campbell vibe to it, which is I do what I fucking damn well please.
Wasn't he left back by a team? Was it even Carolina who didn't even let him travel in like week 18 or 17 or something like that?
I don't recall that. I thought he was. I don't even remember him on Carolina, to be completely honest. I remember him with the Ravens. So maybe I'm late on my Jadeveon Clowney to the Panthers from last year, but I didn't watch a lot of Panthers last year. I don't know if I watched the Panthers once last year. And I didn't feel like I missed it. You know what I mean? I didn't see the Panthers, but I didn't miss them. But anyway, he's out there. Like now that the draft has come and gone, now that free agency has come and gone, there are articles out there because there's a lot of free agents still available. And this is the time of year the Niners do like to sign free agents. Why? Because this is the time of year those free agents are not in part of the compensation deal. So like you can sign, if you sign 3 free agents and you lost 5, you get a couple comp picks, but that's all pre-draft. This period after the draft, you could sign 15 free agents and it doesn't impact the compensation formula, draft pick compensation formula in the slightest. So that has been the Niners' way. Our good friend Jeff Chadia wrote an article saying that he thinks the Niners ought to go after Asante Samuel, that Asante Samuel would be a good fit for them. And then, others.
Von Miller.
Yeah, I've mentioned Von Miller. John Feliciano said that Gabe Davis, the former Niner offensive lineman, John Feliciano, tweeted out this week, Gabe Davis is a perfect fit for the Niners. He's a wide receiver. So Damon, for the win, there's this guy, Corey Woodruff, says in the For the Win publication that the Niners ought to trade a 26th 5th round pick and Robert Beal to the Eagles for Bryce Huff, who's a guy that you and I discussed. Of course, Huff played for Salah for 2 seasons with the Jets. So
under Salah, gets to Philadelphia, gets hurt, and is kind of forgotten.
So, I mean, if I say to you, like PFF ranked every team's biggest remaining need, and they say the Niners' biggest remaining need is the interior O-line, with Banks in Green Bay and Jake Brendel with a 67.9 grade. And the Niners only getting Connor Colby, Drew Moss in the draft or after the draft. They also have Matt Hennessy, Nick Zakel, and Spencer Burford. PFF says their biggest weakness is interior O-line. What would you say the biggest weakness is? Is it wide receiver? Is it corner? Is it still D-line? Is it O-line?
I think it's offensive line depth.
Tight end?
Offensive line depth and another dude to go get a quarterback or play some defense on the line. That's, to me, where the problems are. And look, I would just say, hey, Robert Saleh, Jadeveon Clowney, what's up? You in? You want him? Because if you want him, we'll go get him for you. If you don't want him, if you think he's going to be more of a problem than someone who's going to come in here and be part of the solution, then we won't. We'll look elsewhere. But I would just go straight to Salah. Is this a guy you want to coach? Is this a guy you think makes your team better and easier to not only do whatever is in today's game plan, but God forbid somebody goes down, somebody gets hurt? Depth. You want him? I would think about it. Now, I will tell you that Jadeveon Clowney has reached the mostly unimpressive portion of his career. But again, you're talking about roster cuts, and you ain't going to find perfect. Is it pretty good? Do you think you can get a pretty good player in Jadeveon Clowney? If you think so, go get him. It's Von Miller. Go get him.
It's interesting because, I mean, most teams keep 10 D linemen. The Niners have Bosa, Jordan Elliott, Givens, Mikael Williams, Gross Matos, CJ West, Alfred Collins, Sam Aquinu. Drake Jackson's talking a big game like he's coming back. They have Robert Beal. They have Teron Jackson, who I really do like. I think that's going to be a nice pickup. Kalia Davis, Evan Anderson, Sebastian Valdez, Alex Barrett, Jonathan Garvin. I mean, so they've got some bodies there.
Is that 14 dudes already?
They got, let's see, 3, 4, 8, 12, 15. They got 16 D linemen on their roster right now. So we'll see. But I mean, I would say wide receiver is the need. Now, here's why. You're going to have 5 or 6, right? You're not going to have Aiyuk or Debo. So you got Pearsall and Jennings, Demarcus Robinson, but he's going to miss the first 3 games of the year, most likely with a DUI suspension. So now you got Pearsall and Jennings. We're just talking about week 1, week 2. You got Jordan Watkins. I love him. He's a 4th-round pick, though. He's a rookie. You got Jacob Cowing. I like him, too, but he was a 4th-round pick last year, didn't do much.
Right. He has no confidence in the coaching staff at this point.
Right. So, okay. So with Watkins and Cowing, Pearsall and Jennings, you got 4. Okay. And then Trent Taylor is not NFL. Tariq Owens is not NFL. Russell Gage is not NFL. But then you got Junior Bergen, and that sounds very much like he's going to be on the roster. So there's 5. But then you're only, as far as 6 and 7, you have Isaiah Nair from Nebraska, who's very intriguing. Very intriguing. Isaiah Hodgins. Yeah, he's a physical freak. Isaiah Hodgins is also intriguing. He's a local kid, went to Berean High School. He's got size and hands. So they're pretty intriguing, but that's it. And that's Pearsall, Jennings, Watkins, Cowing, and either Junior Bergen and then either Isaiah Hodgins or Isaiah Nair. I would say that's one of the NFL's weakest wide receiving cores. And I would say if I could find another receiver, there's talk that the Packers want to trade Romeo Doubs. Gabe Davis, as John Feliciano pointed out, was just cut by Jacksonville. I think he might not be bad. He's not old. He's only 26. He had a 200-yard playoff game against the Chiefs a few years ago. But I think they could use one more receiver. That's how I see it now.
May I suggest he's already on the roster, and his name is Christian McCaffrey. I think Christian McCaffrey is going to be in the slot this year. I think that George Kittle is going to be in the slot this year. It is Jimmy Graham time for George Kittle, and it is Christian McCaffrey doesn't want to come off the field. Okay, that's great. We can use him as a receiver, and we drafted a running back. We've got Isaac Guerrero, and we believe that this guy's going to get a lot of carries. So let's see what roster cuts look like. Let's see what training camp, dudes are going to get cut. And I think that, John Lynch is going to be watching that waiver wire like a hawk daily and looking at wide receiver, offensive line depth, defensive line help. Those are 3 big concerns. But I mean, what are you going to get right now? What are you going to get that Kyle's going to feel really good about playing?
Well, that's what I'm saying. If Green Bay, according to reports, is going to move Romeo Doubs. If they're going to move Romeo Doubs, that's the guy that I'm knocking on their door about. And I would find out maybe there's a young player on your roster that they want. Maybe they want Jacob Cowing. Maybe they want Jair Brown. Maybe they want, who knows? You never know. But I'd just come armed with a pick. Hey, you want to move? You just drafted Matthew Golden and Savion Williams, and you already had a loaded wide receiver room. You're probably going to move Romeo Doubs, according to the reports. I'd give them that pick. I'd give them that 4th-round pick or 5th-round pick because I think Doubs in the Niner uniform could really do a lot. Now, here's the other question. What's this year looking like for Brandon Aiyuk? And I bring this up because my good friend Chase Sr., who I will not be streaming with today because of Niner minicamp, so there will not be the Kruger Chase Sr. 1045 extravaganza today. Sorry about that, folks.
But you do get a Damon Bruce Sam Batesh extravaganza coming up at 11.
There you go. So you got that you can lean on. You can go there today. And I'll be down in Santa Clara. I'll do some videos on practice later on. But so we'll have some. Yeah. Well, no. I'll do as long a video as I want on the practice. It'll be at least 8 minutes. But Chase Senior had two really interesting things that I wanted to throw.
And he's dialed in Philadelphia too. So,
well, he's pretty dialed in. But he said that Mike Florio. Now, God, I get sick and tired of talking about Mike Florio because it seems like Mike Florio just pulls shit out of his ass all the time. And he never seems like the Niner stuff is ever accurate. But he's got a big enough platform, and he's sitting next to a guy that we know in Chris Sims is very connected to Kyle Shanahan as college teammates. So, you would think that Florio would be in the know. And so he gets endless opportunities. We all give him endless opportunities to somehow be right because of his relationship with Sims and Sims's relationship with Kyle. Anyway, Florio, Damon, went on KNBR in Pittsburgh. I think WDAE, maybe. I forget exactly the station. But and he says he went on and basically said that Brandon Aiyuk to the Steelers is not dead. And he's been off on a lot of his Niners stuff, which is, as I said, very surprising because he sits right next to Chris Sims, who's close with Kyle. But Pittsburgh did show interest in Aiyuk last year. Aiyuk was openly tweeting Mike Tomlin about playing for Mike Tomlin. They just traded Pickens to Dallas, and according to reports out of Pittsburgh, are looking for another wide receiver. Now, they're very high on Roman Wilson, the second-year receiver from Michigan. But Ian Rappaport and others have said they're not done making moves at wide receiver. Schefter also is on the record as saying the Niners could keep Aiyuk after the roster bonus date, but if a team really needs a wide receiver, maybe they could trade him then. That was Schefter's reporting on Aiyuk earlier this year. So I don't know what the heck's going on, but to me, they already added DK Metcalf. I don't understand why Pittsburgh would want Aiyuk, especially now. But once again, if the Steelers really badly wanted him, the question is, and the question we don't have the answer to is we don't know how eager. I mean, it's been reported by Mayoko and others that if the Niners could get out from underneath the Aiyuk financial commitment, that they would. But we don't know how eager they are to get out from that. And it's funny, I texted my buddy Andrew
sorry.
Andrew Fittipaldo, whatever, the guy who covers the Steelers, said, he does think the Steelers are still interested in a veteran receiver, but that, if they made a play for Aiyuk, it would probably be for a day 3 draft choice. But the question is this: are the Niners so cash strapped and hating their Aiyuk deal that they're willing to move him at a loss to get out from underneath him coming off this injury just to get beyond the financial commitment? I don't know. I don't know if the Niners would rather get off of the Aiyuk contract but still want good compensation back in return, or if they're hell-bent to get off the Aiyuk contract and they'll take whatever to get off of it. I mean, that we don't know.
What's going to improve the team the most in the eyes of the 49ers? The financial relief and flexibility that you would get from Brandon Aiyuk's departure, or the player that you get when Brandon Aiyuk returns? That's the math that they're doing, right? What's more valuable to us? And the answer right now is unknown. Yeah. I will say this: Pittsburgh is going through a metamorphosis here, Larry, like a rare level of turnover in terms of guys who touch the ball. The Steelers, in trading Pickens to the Cowboys, and by the way, the Cowboys got an explosive yet immature guy. We'll see. I mean, I could see that going down in flames. I could see him getting a DUI in Dallas within 3 weeks, coming back.
America's most undisciplined team just got the NFL's most undisciplined player.
So good luck with all that. But
yeah, exactly.
Talent, he does have that too.
Yeah,
he's a freaking burner. Him and CD Lamb, that's a problem. So if you're Dak Prescott, you're very happy with this trade, right?
Who's Pittsburgh's quarterback going to be?
Dude, the Steelers are the 14th team in the Super Bowl era to start a season without their leaders in passing yardage, rushing, and receiving yards from the previous year. With
Najee's gone, right?
Najee Harris and George Pickens now all gone. That's massive change. That's the guys who led statistically in passing, throwing, and catching, passing, running, and catching are all gone. So what is Pittsburgh trying to even do this year? Is the goal?
I think they're desperate.
Has a losing season because
I think they're desperate
to do that.
I think they're desperate, man. I think they're desperate. Why? Because Mike Tomlin hasn't won a playoff game since 2016. It's 2025.
Yeah,
that is a long time for a Pittsburgh Steeler team to not win a playoff game. So they're, even though they've been successful, and he's never had a losing season per se. I get the feeling that he is absolutely I think him and Shanahan are kind of in a similar spot. They're both incredibly respected, but the clock's ticking.
Right.
And they have to start delivering.
I mean, I think it's been a long time, but at least he's got one pelt on the wall.
Or you could look at it this way. Yeah, he's got one pelt on the wall, but that was an eternity ago. Kyle's been to 2 Super Bowls relatively recently, hasn't won one. I mean, whose seat is hotter right now between Tomlin in Pittsburgh, where they never change a head coach, or Shanahan in San Francisco, where they had nightmare coaches before he showed up, and him and Lynch seemed to be made men with Jed. I mean, that's a tough one. I couldn't really even say who's got more job security. All I would say is the Niners eventually have to get a Super Bowl win under Shanahan, and the Steelers eventually have to get a playoff win under Tomlin, or he's going to be out. So I think he understands that, and I think that's why they're all in on Aaron Rodgers. And we'll see. But I mean, there is not a more interesting team in some ways than the Pittsburgh Steelers. When you think about, they dumped Najee, they dumped Russell, they dumped Pickens, they added DK Metcalf. Their starting quarterback on the depth chart on May the 9th is Mason Rudolph.
Right. They don't even have Jordan Fields anymore.
Justin Fields is gone, and Russell's gone. Their quarterback depth chart is Mason Rudolph, Will Howard from Ohio State, and Skylar Thompson. That's it. They don't have a single NFL. Their starting running back is Caleb Johnson. They don't have. So they're going with a rookie running back. They don't have a quarterback. They've got 2 brand new receivers in Robert Woods and DK Metcalf. It's like it's all bets are off. Now the defense is really good. TJ Watt and Highsmith and Cam Hayward, and they added Derek Harmon. They've got Minkah Fitzpatrick. They got some good players on defense. Boswell's a stud kicker, but come on, man, you gotta have a quarterback and you gotta have a receiver. And we'll see. But I don't know if that's going to happen. But Shea Sr. said that Floria went on the radio in Pittsburgh and said that Aiyuk to the Steelers is not dead.
Larry,
very, very bizarre. Very bizarre.
Let's recap this whole thing.
It's
a fluid situation. Let's
hit our 5, but let's hit our 5 supers. But we also have one thing I want to show the audience that I think they'll be very excited about. Guess what's out today? I don't know if you saw this, Damon. This is pretty exciting. The rookie numbers have been revealed. Curtis Rourke will wear number 4. Jordan Watkins, number 17. Upton Stout, number 20. Jordan James, 29. Marquise Siegel, 36. Nick Martin, 45. I don't like linebackers in the 40s. CJ West, 50. That's a good-looking jersey. Connor Colby, 75. He wore 77 last year for Iowa. Junior Bergen, 86. Michael Williams, 98. Alfred Collins, 99. CJ West wore 8 in college.
He did.
He's going to wear 50. If you were going to buy a jersey based on these numbers, what jersey you want?
Well, I always like the number 99. I just think it looks great on a football jersey. Now, number 50 is the number that I actually wore as a player too. So I've always liked the number 50, and the fact that the kid from Indiana is wearing number 50, I like that an awful lot. But 50 is a linebacker number more than it is a hand in the dirt defender number. Look at it this way. The last great player to wear 99 was Aldon Smith, right? It obviously didn't end well, but I like that. And I like 98 too. Those are big boy numbers right there.
Yeah. Now, of course, Hargrave had 98 last year. I would say if I could turn these into a personal jersey for myself, I'd probably go with my first choice would be CJ West in the 50, because he would be my first choice as far as players. So, if you're going to buy rookie jerseys, there's always a little risk. So I would say, just to to mitigate my risk, I'll go with the best player, I think, in CJ West, and I like that number 50. The other one I kind of like, I'll go with your guy Rourke from Indiana. I mean, after listening to Kubiak talk him up, I wouldn't mind a Curtis Rourke for number 4. That might look good. That might have some value in the future too, by the way.
Wasn't Tanner Mordecai wearing number 4 though?
Let me see. I can tell you right now. I thought Tanner Mordecai wore 6.
I thought there was a 4 already on the team.
Mordecai wore 14.
Okay.
Which actually, that was Ricky Pearsall, I believe, right? Wasn't 14 Ricky Pearsall for a while? So I think Ricky Pearsall changed to number 1. When Debo left, Ricky took number 1. So Tanner Mordecai went from whatever he was at. I think he might have been right. I think he was 4, and now he's 14.
Okay.
So now Curtis Rourke is 4. Interesting. Also, let's hit the supers here as well. We got a few. Fuji Simeon, have to set up a fund to get Larry a smoker. LOL. Yeah, it would be nice. I do you have a smoker, Damon?
I don't have a smoker, but I have something called a slow and sear that is a metal well that I put in my Weber grill that turns the Weber grill into a damn good smoker, even though it really wasn't intended to be that. So I can fugazi it, but yes, I would love a proper smoker.
Do you have an air fryer?
No, we do not have an air fryer.
I've heard people, every time I go to Costco, there's always like somebody standing at one of the end caps going, buy this air fryer. And I'm always intrigued. Is an air fryer worth owning? Do you know?
I mean, the people who have them use them.
Right. But is it worth it?
I don't know. I'm not an air fryer owner.
Right. But I mean, have you had air fried meals?
The last thing I need is the ability to have anything fried at my disposal at all times. So we stay away from that.
Well, I do think it might be healthier.
It is healthier, but the word is still fried on some level. So
yeah, exactly. Fuji Simeon says bottom of the pint tonight. Let's see. I've got a message out to John. I'm still waiting to hear back. So Giants play at, I believe, 5 or 6. Let's see. Let me double check that.
They're in Minnesota.
They're in Minnesota. So I think that's Central Time Zone.
By the way, thank God the Giants are in Minnesota today. You see what's happening? Bart is shut down. Bart is not running today.
What?
There's a computer problem. Yeah, by the way, just 3 words. Japan would never. But anyways, Bart is shut down today, or at least was in this morning commute. So good luck with all that. By the way, if you're going down to Santa Clara, Larry, you should get going soon because traffic might be a nightmare.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I'm going to get down there. Practice at 1, so I got 3 hours, but you're right. Thank you for that, Damon, because I'll take off. Fuji Simeon, bottom of the pint. We'll have to see. I'd like to do bottom of the pint tonight. If Johnny's up for it, I'm up for it.
By the way,
up for drinking beers.
I can't tonight. It is a rare date night for Jillian and I with the boys, with the grandmothers. But I had so much fun joining you and Frank and Cyrus and Dan last night with
we'll do it again.
Warrior post game. We'll do that again. And I got to absolutely join you in Lund for a bottom of the pint show too.
Dude, you get the standing invite. Anytime you want to show up, have a couple beers. We slam beers for home runs, rally beers at bottom of the 7th inning stretch. We're all over it.
Yeah.
There you go. You bring a little whiskey. MSQ says when Salah and Boyer joined the Niners, their contract stated Boyer would be given control of free agency and Salah would be given control of the draft. LOL. Thoughts? Yeah, you would think.
Salah was asked about that, and he said, look, they had players on the offensive side of the ball that they had high on their draft board, but they went before their pick came up. And Salah said, whenever that happened, I was in the back of the room going, hey, I got an idea. I got a guy.
Fuji Simeon says the bet was taking Larry and his wife to House of Prime Rib. Is that what we agreed on? I don't remember that. But I wouldn't.
When I say steak, I never mean prime rib. But if you want to settle it that way, it could be settled that way.
I will say this. I took my wife to House of Prime Rib on Van Ness about a year ago. There's something really cool about that old place. I don't know why. It's why. It's really good. The prime rib is phenomenal. There.
The salad.
The salad. The salad is fantastic.
The salad and the presentation of the salad dressing pour is great. And everything about that room is fantastic. I love the House of Prime Rib.
House of Prime Rib is a classic, absolute classic. Dominic Sena says, all love Krug, but I need you to apologize to Pearsall for saying he's not tough like Edelman, even though he returned and played the same year he got shot. I hope you guys understand. When I was talking about toughness, I'm not talking about, avoiding a gunshot toughness. I'm talking about, the ability to shake free from the jam at the line of scrimmage. And I'll say this. I'm not big into apologies, but I'll say this. I do.
I'm not big into apologies.
I'm not big into apologies. I will apologize when I think I should. I'm not going to apologize on this. I will say this, though. As somebody who gets to be around the players and, gets a chance to go into the locker room and talk to them, you do get a sense for what they are as people and what they are about as competitors. And let me just say this, and I've talked to more than a few Niner content people and media people who agree with me on this one. Ricky Pearsall is special. Now, how is it going to manifest itself? I'm not sure. I don't know. I can't really tell you. But Damon, as sure as I'm sitting here, Ricky Pearsall's special. Why do I say that? Because at the end of the year, when he was failing in those 5 weeks where he was out there running around, but he wasn't getting a lot done, it was working on him. It was grinding on him. You could tell. At the end of the year, when he started to have those breakthrough, he had a couple breakthrough games, you could tell he wasn't satisfied with those breakthrough games. This guy's standard for his play is considerably higher than our standard is for his play. So when I see that gives me total calm and confidence that this guy's going to be really good. Ricky Pearsall, he cares a ton, Damon, about being great. And I don't know if he's going to be great, but I'll say this. In the pursuit of greatness, I guarantee you Ricky Pearsall is going to be very good. Very good. I don't know about great, but very good.
The 49ers will get everything that Ricky Pearsall has to give to the NFL. Whether that's enough, we will find out. But it won't be for a lack of trying or didn't come in shape, didn't bury myself in the playbook. Like Kubiak
or
said.
Don't love football. There's got I'm not really into football. I'm good at it, but I don't love it. No, this guy is all about it.
Juwan Jennings and Ricky Pearsall both believe they're the best wide receivers in football. And that's what you want. Yep. That's the mentality you want in those guys. So,
Dominic, yes. I apologize. There you go. You got it. Joseph Ernberg, can we give Moody's hamstrings to Steph?
Oh, we didn't talk about Jake Moody at all. By the way, he is going to be your week 1 kicker.
There's no doubt in my mind. I'll tell you the biggest disappointment. If you're one of these guys that was like, Moody's got to go, and, they're going the veteran route. Now they're going with Kenny Almendarez from Louisiana Lafayette, who won the Luke Rosso Award. Either way, it's like you get the feeling that it's Jake. It's going to be Jake's job. I don't think they're going to bring in a veteran. Nick Folk. I don't believe it. I don't think they're bringing in a veteran. I think they're going to bring in. It's going to be a rookie on rookie. It's going to be a Jake Moody against the rookie competition, and I think Jake's going to probably wind up beating him out. And that's just my guess. I mean, I'm not mad about it, but I need to see some consistency, like the rest of us. We all need to see some consistency. Dominic says air fryer is a good time saver and is healthy. Okay. There you go. MSQ says
we do operate in mostly chicken nuggets in this house too, so maybe that would help.
There you go. Nothing wrong with a good chicken nugget. MSQ, we are brought to you by our super chats. LOL. Thank you, MSQ. Fuji Simeon, you going to Costco to feed 3 boys? Store must love you. Yeah, I mean, they they walk up to you in line. Excuse me, sir, are you an executive member? They just give me the head bob. I get that. Everybody gets, oh, excuse me, sir. I get the, hey, we'll see you later this week. What's the most you've ever spent at Costco?
I mean, there was a trip that
your guys are little still.
Right,
they're not eating T-bones every night.
Right. We have yet to reach the need a coffin freezer in our basement level of consumption yet.
You'll get there. You'll get there.
We know it's coming. There was a time before the holidays where a Costco run did go over. I think we were kissing $600-700, which is a lot.
Yes, that is a lot. But
that was the big Christmas extravaganza.
All kinds of treats and maybe some toys.
There were toys involved too. I think
clothes, maybe some clothes. MSQ says Coach Prime is the LeVar Ball of football. Thoughts? Well, there's no doubt that Shedeur Sanders probably should blame Pops the most for his fall in the draft. And it's not the world's worst thing. People acting like it was the world's worst thing. It's not the world's worst thing. If he lost some money, but you know what? He had a big hand in that. And when you go to job interviews and you start talking about how you don't need this and you want that, and all I would say to you is go to a job interview and then act super entitled and start interviewing them like you're hiring them and see if you get hired.
Right.
And when you don't, then you'll know the Shedeur Sanders story.
I think the best explanation is simply he treated interviews as if they were recruiting visits, and he got it all wrong. And he probably should have been a little bit more prepared for the moment. By the way, had he hired an agent, he would have been. He would have been more prepared for the moment. Agents train you and get you ready for that moment. But he wanted to go in and act as his own self, and he agented his way to the 5th round. Did you see
all the people who are talking him up? He sucks. And watch him suck. I mean, that's all I gotta say.
We don't know.
I feel like I know, because I don't think there's enough there. I don't see arm strength. I don't see accuracy. I don't see athleticism. I see a guy who's relatively immobile with a below average arm strength, who played in a total gimmicky scheme, who's got the most inflated completion percentage of all time. The same people that were arguing that completion percentage meant nothing when Brock had a good one are now arguing that completion percentage means everything because Shedeur is a great one. But in reality, Shedeur just little dump off here, little dump off there. I mean, I will be
take
shocked
6 in a row instead of throwing it away because you're cooking your completion percentage.
I'll be shocked. If Shedeur is a good quarterback in the NFL, I'll be shocked. I think I love Cam Ward. I think Cam Ward's going to be awesome. As far as Shedeur, I don't see it at all.
Did you see the $100 million lawsuit that some moronic doofus from Colorado has filed against the NFL for emotional distress over the Shedeur Sanders slide? This thing can't get thrown out of court fast enough. I mean, you should have to pay a $10,000. I'm sorry I wasted everybody's time with this frivolous lawsuit nonsense.
Seriously, I can't even say Alan Dershowitz as fast as you'd get thrown out of that courtroom. Joseph Ernberg says Isaac Guerrero would make a great wide receiver. They did throw him 16 passes last year. He caught 15, so I think that's a good call. Fuji Simeon says, unlike LeVar, Deion did go one-on-one versus the GOAT, Jerry Rice. That's right. And LeVar, LeVar was a train wreck. Deion was a great player.
LeVar might have been a train wreck, but his kids are playing professional basketball and they're all multimillionaires. And he kind of spoke that shit into existence. He did it in a, caustic kind of way. But at the same time, if you're a dad who's got 3 kids who are professional athletes, you did something right.
I wish LeVar had been James Wiseman's dad. Maybe the Warriors would have not picked James Wiseman. All right, that's going to do it for us. I'm off to Santa Clara. It sounds like, and some traffic along the way, so I better jet. Thanks to you, Damon. Thanks to all of our supers. Thanks to our sponsors, Pig and a Pickle. All the links are in the description below. And like and subscribe on your way out on both channels. And we'll do this on Monday. Have a good weekend, everybody. Thanks.
One last thing.
Yes.
To your lovely wife, to my lovely wife, to everyone's lovely wife, to everyone's mom. Happy Mother's Day. To all the women who are watching us right now, who happen to be mothers. Happy Mother's Day to all of you as well. Mother's Day is this Sunday. Don't forget, everybody, go get your flowers, go get your chocolates, and get it done.
Are you 100% sure about that?
Mother's Day?
I thought it was the 17th.
Do I have it wrong here?
I'm pretty sure it's not Mother's Day, Damon.
Sunday, May 11th. 2 days, Larry. You're welcome, by the way. You're welcome.
I guess it's funny. I asked my wife earlier this week. I'm like, what would you like to do on Mother's Day? And she was giving me a list of things. And then, I think we both were thinking of it as next weekend.
Hey,
all right.
If Amy's like, hey, we'll do it next weekend, then cool, sure. They should be able to pick Mother's Day, but technically, I guess it is Sunday.
Thanks to Damon for saving all of us who didn't know it was Mother's Day. And on that note, it's time for us to bolt for the door. Thanks to all of you guys. Have a great day. Happy Mother's Day.